from across the Federation, spanning the region and covering the globe. This is the KyssFM SKN News Now Evening Edition, your one true source for news. And now your presenter.
Good evening, I'm Ebony Brandon. Today is Monday, 20th February 2017. This is the SKN News Now Evening Edition. In the headlines, nationally, St. Kitts and Nevis misses out on key regional decisions at the recently concluded Heads of Government meeting in Guyana, and the Bureau of Standard Science Laboratory is being called upon to assess the CFBC mold situation after their accurate findings regarding the Bastia High School were rejected. Regionally, a far-reaching gold smuggling operation has been uncovered in Guyana, and internationally, Donald Trump's first month in office is over, and the reviews of his performance are rolling in. We've got the details of these stories and more straight ahead in this evening's edition of SKN News Now. All but one country, St. Kitts and Nevis, expressed concern over United States President Donald Trump's immigration policies and their possible result to a slowdown in travel to a region dependent on tourism. As Caribbean leaders, except St. Kitts and Nevis's Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, ended their midterm summit in Guyana's capital city, Georgetown, incoming CARICOM Chairman Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, said the trade bloc has adopted a wait-and-see attitude with respect to America's evolving migration policy and how it affects the region's vital tourism industry. No representative from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis attended the intersessional, and there's been no word to date as to why the Prime Minister was absent or his Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or the country's ambassador to CARICOM. The Grenada Prime Minister, Dr. Mitchell, told a news conference that there was obvious reason to be concerned as a region with the recent U.S. immigration policy and the impact it will have on Caribbean citizens and on tourism. Millions of Caribbean nationals, including citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, live in the United States as permanent residents, naturalized citizens, or illegal aliens. Many travel regularly to their home countries, while others send remittances totaling hundreds of millions of dollars each year to relatives who remain in the Caribbean. Prime Minister Mitchell said he understands the reluctance of some Caribbean residents in the U.S. not to leave the country. Trump's attempted crackdown on refugees and immigrants from some majority Muslim countries has raised concern that he may try to impose harsher travel restrictions on them as well. Dr. Mitchell, however, believes that when the dust is settled, things must improve because the borders of the Caribbean nations are too close to the United States for them to risk uncertainty or problems in the Caribbean's direction. Last Thursday, Donald Trump said he will announce a new executive order on immigration this week after his original January 27 travel ban, which targeted Muslims, was blocked by U.S. courts. The 28th intersessional meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community was held in Georgetown, Guyana on the 16th and 17th February 2017. In other news, the Team Unity administration appears to have taken an if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach to the People's Employment Program, PEP. This past weekend, the government launched its long-advertised STEP, or Skills Training Empowerment Program. Upon careful examination, however, the program, which is touted to be a marked improvement over the PEP, or People Employment Program, has revealed itself to be a combination of the original STEP program, which was implemented under the Labor Administration in 2012, and the PEP. The Original Skills Training and Entrepreneurial Program, STEP, was launched in February 2012 and was a collaborative effort between the Ministries of Education and Agriculture. Its purpose at the time was to provide entrepreneurial training to marginalized and at-risk males. Under this program, participants were trained in hydroponics, farming, and life skills and were also provided with a weekly stipend. Hydroponics farms were established at the back of the old Ministry of Education building on the School Mills compound and at Project Strong. The STEP of 2012 was one of many social development projects that was funded by the Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation. According to Permanent Secretary with Responsibility for STEP PEP Combo of 2017, Osbert D'Souza, the proposed re-registration drive in preparation for the 2017 STEP targeted mainly one group of PEP workers, landscapers.
Back in June of 2016, a suggestion was made by Mr. William Phillip, Head Field Officer from the People's Employment Program. The suggestion was that in order to identify ghost workers on the program and to deal with some of the challenges and irregularities facing the PEP, there should be a re-registration. The re-registration was done focusing on the employees who are involved in the National Infrastructure Improvement Component. That is, those involved in cleaning our environment. Following this re-registration, individuals from the same group were asked to identify one of 18 areas of training that they would like to receive.
Mr. D'Souza went on that training under the program will eventually be provided in 18 different areas. The first 9 for which initial training will be provided were selected based on the demands of the hotel and tourism industries.
Based on the responses and from interactions with the representatives of the Hotel and Tourism Association, HTA, and senior officials in the hospitality sector, along with the Labor Department, it was decided that the initial training should be done in the following areas: electrical, plumbing and AC maintenance, carpentry, food and beverage, landscaping, mechanic, bartendering and housekeeping. These areas were chosen in an attempt to satisfy the employment demands, particularly in the hospitality sector. I need not elaborate on the numerous job opportunities that will be made available on the peninsula shortly. The decision was taken at the PEP office not to reinvent the wheel, but to engage the government's recognized training institution, the National Skills Training Program, to implement the training, which in its first instance will involve over 70 participants.
One key difference between the STEP of 2012 and the STEP recently introduced this year is the entrepreneurial aspect, which seems to have been taking a backseat to the training that steers person towards being employed. The agricultural training element, which was at the center of STEP, is also missing. Strike action by the bus associations has been put off, at least for the time being. According to a communique circulated on February 16th by both the country's bus associations, all passenger bus drivers were being asked to park their vehicles today, Monday 20th, in protest of a number of issues. Bus drivers are also complaining of increased unregulated competition and also claim that they've been unfairly targeted and harassed by police in recent times. Following a meeting on Sunday evening, however, at the Cenotaph, a decision was taken to postpone the strike. This did not in any way today affect passengers commuting to and from various parts of the country. It is believed that barring another change of heart, the strike may now take place on Wednesday 20th. Reports reaching SKN News now indicate that the decision has been taken to utilize the services of the St. Kitts and Nevis Bureau of Standards to scientifically assess the mold-riddled Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College. Last week, it was made public that CFBC is contaminated with mold. The situation is now so severe that a number of secretaries and lecturers have been placed on sick leave by various medical professionals. We were able today to speak with one of these individuals affected by the mole situation. Also last week, opposition Labour Party parliamentarian Honourable Congress Maynard inquired as to whether or not the Team Unity administration would choose to close down CFBC until the matter is rectified.
Reports are coming in that almost all lecturers or a very large percentage of secretaries, etc., are absent from work at CFBC College because of a real issue at the school. I think there were some renovations done recently where a roof was placed over another roof, and I don't know if proper accommodations were made to allow for moisture to leave. And
so there's now a mold problem.
So there is now apparently a significant mold problem. And secretaries and lecturers and students are out sick, unable to further their education. The Minister of Education needs to deal with that.
While in opposition, the Team Unity Tripartite Coalition insisted so vociferously that the Bastille High School was contaminated that the then Labour Party administration closed the school and implemented a shift system to facilitate students' continued education. Following their election, all official reports from reputable scientific institutions recommending that BHS be inhabited after remedial works were completed were rejected by the Unity government. One of the reports came from the St. Kitts Nevis Bureau of Standards Science Laboratory. SKN News Now has learned that coming out of a meeting with CFBC staff members this morning, the air quality at the Technical and Vocational Campus, TechVoc, will also be tested by the St. Kitts Nevis Bureau of Standards, as it too is suspected of being contaminated by mold. A complement of 6 persons, officers and civilians from the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force left the Federation on Friday for the Republic of China, Taiwan. Officers are to undergo extensive training in a real-world environment on the effective and efficient use of closed-circuit television systems, or CCTV, in public safety. The group's training is being conducted in preparation for the deployment of enhancements to the CCTV system being used in St. Kitts and Nevis. The upgrades to the Federation's current CCTV system are being done with the support of the government of the Republic of China, Taiwan. Funding for the first phase of the project was provided by the Republic of China, Taiwan at the cost of 5 million EC dollars. The systems were procured from one of the top 5 international firms in the CCTV industry, Vivotech, and the work is being done in partnership with one of the country's local providers of security services. Commissioner of Police Ian Quealy, speaking on these developments, highlighted the benefits both to the enhancements to the CCTV system and the officers' training will bring to the efforts of law enforcement agencies. He stated that the exposure to that operation will give them an appreciation for the work they will do when they return in contributing to citizen safety. And the announcement of the officers' training comes not a moment too soon, as yet another business place suffered loss at the hands of thieves over the weekend. This time it was Nevis that was struck. Police indicate that SL Horsfords and Company Limited was robbed on Friday last week, not shortly after they'd closed at 4 p.m. While the extent of the loss is not yet known, investigations do indicate that the business was robbed of a sum of money by 2 assailants who subsequently escaped through a back door. That wraps up our national developments, but still to come this evening, the illegal standoff between Barbados' finance minister and central bank governor is getting uglier. We've got the details coming up next. An international intelligence network has revealed that hundreds of Guyanese, the majority who hold high office in the country, are involved in gold smuggling through Guyana's borders and using chartered flights. The intelligence indicated that some 15 syndicates locally are behind the crime. Travis Chase reports.
CEO of the state's Assets Recovery Unit, Mr. Rettimaya, in a recent interview made it clear that SARU, SUKU, and the Ministry of Natural Resources have made strides in reducing the amount of gold smuggled out of Guyana.
We have been informed that gold had been, leaving here at the rate of 15,000 ounces per week. And we've tried with the Ministry of Natural Resources to try to reduce that amount.
Gold leaves Guyana mainly from the Eugene F. Correa Airport, with destinations to Suriname, USA, and certain parts of Europe and the Middle East. A credible source has indicated that new information suggests a new route to smuggle Guyana's gold through land ports of India, where gold is widely used as jewelry. Rettimaya spoke of how local investigators were able to track the local smugglers.
And there are all kinds of shenanigans that people would do with gold, buy a certain amount of gold and sell it to the board, and then on the inside things were done there that would spirit out that gold and replace it with a lower quality and all kinds of things which I don't want to get into. But the net loss was that amount was going out of the country every week. And while they don't declare it necessarily at Timeri, they have to declare it when they go to other countries. And it is based on that declaration that we were able to have access to the data.
An international law enforcement official who deals with gold smuggling said that some gold smugglers are so powerful that they tend to remain beyond the reach of law. Rettimaya confirmed that it is very difficult to lay hands on them.
You can understand that some of these perpetrators can even, I'm not saying for a fact, but it's not hard to understand this is a country with a small population. Many of them might well be behind those people masquerading as private sector. And you could pay them any amount of money to stand up and do your business. These are some of the same people who form that private sector.
Nightly News has been able to confirm, but not by SARU, that the gold smuggling racket in Guyana is backed up by some political leaders and top law enforcement officials. But Rettimaya has a strong message for such persons.
They're not above this law when it comes to taking back the loot. Nobody in this world is above the law when it comes to retrieval of national loot that they might have.
The state's Asset Recovery Bill was recently laid in the National Assembly. The establishment of the state's Asset Recovery Unit was proposed by David Grange administration after taking up office in 2015 to stop looting of state assets and recover stolen assets.
Barbados' former Attorney General Dale Marshall says the ongoing dispute between the country's present finance minister and the governor of the Barbados Central Bank is indicative of deeper issues plaguing the government. Mary Claire Williams has the story. We'll return to that item in just a moment. Moving on, a massive manhunt is on in the Bahamas to find the men responsible for a deadly shootout on Sunday.
Police have launched an island-wide manhunt and a public appeal for two suspects responsible for a shooting incident that has left 3 persons detained in hospital this Sunday. Reports are that around 10 a.m. a group of men were involved in an altercation on Windsor Lane that led to 3 of them being shot. The victims were transported to hospital where they are detained in stable condition. The first suspect is 20-year-old Rolly Anthony Henfield, otherwise called Bablu, of Windsor Lane. Henfield is a dark male of a slim build, about 5'5" to 5'6" inches tall. The second suspect is 44-year-old Tony Austin Maycock, otherwise called Fats, of 5'5" to 5'7" inches tall. These men are considered to be armed and extremely dangerous. Police advise the public not to approach them.
And now we return to that story from Barbados, where the former Attorney General Dale Marshall says the ongoing dispute between the country's present finance minister and governor of the central bank is indicative of deeper issues plaguing the government.
Friday the option of resigning by February 13 or be fired. But Worrell filed an injunction in the High Court through his attorneys, barring Sinclair from firing him. And on Friday, the court granted a second injunction, allowing Dr. Worrell to stay on the job for at least 6 more days.
I think it is scandalous, and it demonstrates to me that we have a cabinet government that doesn't understand the roles of various individuals. The first 2 people who are sworn in any administration are the Prime Minister and an Attorney General. I cannot for the life of me see how a Minister of Finance could find himself in a position where an important decision like this is clearly not discussed with the Attorney General in terms of providing guidance as to how it should be approached and what are the possible pitfalls. But the Barbadians now have to suffer as a result of obviously an intellectual disconnect between the Attorney General and the Minister of Finance. We ought not to be in this place. Prime Minister Oenatha dismissed a former governor of the central bank. There was no brouhaha, the courts weren't called in, precisely because the Prime Minister on that occasion, before he acted, consulted with the individuals with whom he had to consult and made sure that whatever he did was done in accordance with the law.
Marshall says the public spat between the minister and his chief fiscal advisor could not have come at a worse time for the country.
Our foreign reserves are dropping, and I'm not an economist, but I think that it is public knowledge that the foreign exchange take for tourism in December was lower, much lower than expected, and January again much lower than expected. We're now in February, so at a time when our currency is facing its greatest threat, what is playing out in the lower courts of Barbados are the 2 individuals whose job it is to safeguard our currency and to ensure that there's no devaluation. And that is what Barbados has come to.
Acting Prime Minister Richard Seeley says there is no need to worry about the financial future of Barbados as it is moving in the right direction. Addressing
And that wraps up our regional developments. Still to come this evening in the international segment of the news, South Korea is agitating for the international community to do something about North Korea over the murder of Kim Jong-nam. It has been a controversial first month in the White House for U.S. President Donald Trump, from legal challenges to his executive orders to shaky interaction with world leaders. Trump's short presidency has been besieged by drama.
Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
It's been 1 month since Donald Trump took the oath of office, and it's been a month marked by controversy. Most notably, the resignation of retired General Michael Flynn as National Security Advisor and persistent allegations of White House ties to Russia. That's rattled Washington's political elites, including members of Trump's own Republican Party.
When you see that you don't know who's in charge, this Flynn situation, the whole environment is one of dysfunction in the Trump administration.
This administration is running like a fine-tuned machine.
Trump disputes the characterization that his White House is in chaos.
I don't think there's ever been a president elected who in this short period of time has done what we've done.
Still, it's hard to ignore a month of headlines starting the day after Trump's inauguration, when more than 1 million women marched in Washington and nationwide in protest of Trump's presidency. From there, the president set off global outrage when he signed an executive order banning travelers from 7 Muslim-majority countries. A federal court blocked the order, calling it unconstitutional.
Judge Neil Gorsuch.
Trump's nomination of Judge Neil Gorsuch to fill the vacancy on the Supreme Court marked one of his better moments, prompting some criticism but also praise. But 1 month in, just half of the president's cabinet picks have been confirmed. Trump's temperament has also raised eyebrows, repeatedly venting his frustrations on social media. His outbursts have prompted the cancellation of a planned meeting with the Mexican president and resulted in an abrupt ending to a phone conversation with the Australian Prime Minister.
His attacks on the intelligence officials, his attacks on John McCain, a senior Republican in his own party, doesn't serve the legislative interest, doesn't serve his White House agenda, his policy agenda in any way, or his political agenda, but it might motivate and really delight some of his supporters.
Because while the turmoil may have prevented him from embarking on some of his biggest campaign promises, like replacing Obamacare and rebuilding America's crumbling infrastructure, he has made good on one election pledge: to be a disruptive force in Washington.
The South Korean government called on the apparent murder of Kim Jong-nam a terrorist act and is urging the international community to punish North Korea, who they claim is responsible. Salian Ishan reports.
Kim Jong-nam's autopsy results could be released on Wednesday, but they're unlikely. Kim Jong-nam's autopsy results could be released on Wednesday, but they're unlikely.
Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte has been accused of funding the murder of criminals and opponents by a former police officer. Arturo Lascana says Duterte paid him to be a member of a death squad. Lawyers say the allegations could be grounds to impeach Duterte.
Arturo Las Cañas claims he was Rodrigo Duterte's most trusted police officer when the president was the mayor of Davao City in the southern Philippines. On Monday, he appeared at a Senate hearing presented by human rights lawyers and main opposition figure, Senator Antonio Trillanes. Las Cañas claims he was one of the main organizers of the so-called Davao Death Squad, a vigilante group believed to have been set up by Duterte. He claims the president was behind the murder of a kidnapped suspect, his pregnant wife, and 5-year-old son several years ago. Las Cañas says that he also planned the murder of journalist and radio host Jun Pala on the orders of Duterte, who he says paid him and his men around $40,000 US. His loyalty to Duterte, he says, was beyond question. He even sacrificed his own family members. He says he was behind the murder of his 2 brothers who were involved in illegal drugs.
No one in my family know about this. Now they know. I ask for their forgiveness. Even if I die now, at least I have made a public confession.
The death of my 2 brothers. Statements corroborate claims by another self-confessed Davao Death Squad member, Edgar Matobato. But they contradict his Senate testimony last year when he denied involvement and accused Matobato of being part of a plan to destabilize the government. The Office of the President says the revival of the Davao Death Squad issue is a demolition job, a protracted political drama that aims to topple Duterte's administration. Las Cañas promises to reveal more as soon as his own statement is released and he is able to appear before a court.
We look at this case really as one involving impunity and accountability. FLAG has always stood for human rights and for accountability, and we will do everything in our power to ensure that everyone from the highest position to the lowest is held accountable for their wrongdoing.
Human rights lawyers say that if the allegations are true, they should lead to the impeachment of a president who was sworn into office less than a year ago.
And returning to our story from North Korea, a Japanese television station has aired a video that says it shows the moment half-brother of North Korea's leader was attacked at a Kuala Lumpur airport. Kim Jong-nam died last week. South Korea says he was murdered on the orders of Kim Jong-un, the North Korean leader. But the North Koreans have a different story.
Today, a new twist in the saga surrounding the death of Kim Jong-nam.
Standing outside his embassy in Kuala Lumpur, North Korea's ambassador denied claims that Kim died here 7 days ago. He said the body belongs to a man called Kim Chol. The ambassador accused Malaysian police of carrying out a politically motivated investigation.
At the moment, we cannot trust the investigation by the Malaysian police, even though its result would be obtained. It only increases the doubt that there would be someone else's hand behind the investigation.
Malaysia's Prime Minister dismissed the accusations, saying their inquiry is objective. But the ambassador's statement is worsening tensions between the two countries. Malaysia has already recalled its ambassador to Pyongyang, while police here have said they will not be deterred from their investigation.
I should make this very clear. They can say anything. But as far as we are concerned, we follow the legal and procedural requirement of our country.
North Korea has called for a joint inquiry into the murder with Malaysia. On Monday, Japanese network Fuji TV released this footage reportedly showing the moment Kim Jong-nam was approached by a woman and poisoned at Kuala Lumpur airport. South Korea maintains that North Korean agents were involved.
Basically, as the Malaysian government has announced yesterday, there are 5 suspects with North Korean nationality and an additional 3 suspects. Based on previous events of North Korean terrorism and inhumane activities, we believe that this incident too has North Korea behind it. Please keep in mind that this is hard for us to actually disclose any information or intelligence regarding this matter.
7 days after Kim's death, there are more questions than answers into how and why he died. Malaysian authorities are coming under increasing pressure to complete their investigation and provide clarity on this case. Karishma Vyas, Al Jazeera, Kuala Lumpur.
And that wraps up our international developments this evening. Now for a recap of our major headlines tonight nationally. St. Kitts and Nevis has missed out on key regional decisions at the recently concluded Heads of Government meeting in Guyana. And the Bureau of Standard Science Laboratory is being called upon to assess the mold situation at CFBC after their accurate findings regarding the Bastia High School were rejected by the now government. Regionally, a far-reaching gold smuggling operation has been uncovered in Guyana, and internationally, Donald Trump's first month in office is over, and the reviews of his performance have been rolling in and not all too positive. Stay with us still to come this evening, Sports Zone. Tonight in Sports Zone, Barbados Pride is still basking in the glory of their win over Jamaica Scorpions on Saturday in Antigua. Barbados Pride captain Jason Holders commended his team's performance throughout the regional Super 50 tournament. Barbados Pride took the Clive Lloyd Trophy on Saturday night when they defeated the Jamaica Scorpions by 59 runs at the Coolidge Cricket Ground in Antigua. Following the match, Holders said his team had performed admirably throughout the tournament.
I thought the guys were very, very consistent all tournament long. You know, we put in the performance needed to win this finals, you know, and I don't think a better team could have come up and won this final. So I just want to say congrats to the Barbados Pride team and everybody who would have contributed to this.
After a slow start, Holder struck 69 runs off 47 balls to get his side back in the game. He added a match-winning sixth wicket stand of 127 with Shea Hope, who made 101 from 98 balls with 5 fours and 5 sixes.
Dr. Ferdinand for his influential work and continued dedication to
Former Manchester United star and Trinidad and Tobago international football player Dwight York has been denied entry into the United States because of an Iranian stamp in his passport. York was stopped over the weekend in Qatar en route to Trinidad and Tobago via Miami. York said that he was told by airport officials that if he boarded the flight, he would be deported back to Qatar once he arrived in the States. He then tried to explain that he did not live in Qatar, was trying to get home in the Caribbean. Airport officials reportedly stopped York after he purchased his ticket and informed him that his name had been placed on a red list because he had traveled to Iran. The Iranian stamp in York's passport related to him playing in a charity match in Tehran in 2015. York, who travels all over the world and regularly plays in United Legends 11s overseas, was apparently refused entry to the U.S. under the border controls recently put in place last month by President Donald Trump, which temporarily bans individuals from 7 Muslim countries, which included Iran. And finally tonight, India's so-called Rural Olympics came to a close on Sunday. The unique event, which tests athletes' endurance and strength in a one-of-a-kind way, draws thousands of spectators from around the globe.
A unique sports festival, popularly known as the Rural Olympics, came to a close on Sunday in Ludhiana, a city in northern India. The 3-day Kila Rapport Sports Festival delighted enthusiasts from around the world with its mix of wrestling, athletics, dog racing, and extreme stunts. Spectators were on the edge of their seats as participants put on breathtaking displays of strength, such as lifting stacks of bricks, pulling cars, and stopping motorbikes with their bare hands.
And that wraps up this evening's edition of SKN News Now. On behalf of the entire team here at KyssFM, I'm Ebony Brandon, wishing you a very pleasant evening. It's Monday night, so that means DJ Yachty is with you up next. Remember, tomorrow at 10 a.m., tune in for Ask the Leader. I'm Ebony Brandon. Good night.